Welcome back to my channel, guys, and in this video I will be covering the 4th and 5th round of the 29th All India Open Classical. As you can see on this left side, 30 plus 30. Well, the 4th round I had the white pieces and I opened with c4. My opponent didn't play a move, his time ran out and I won, so that's why I didn't show the game immediately. And the 5th round was pretty interesting. My 5th round, I had the black pieces and I played with a 2027 rated player. And he was my opponent in the last tournament which I had played, and I lost to him against the advanced variation of the French. So after that loss, I had prepared the advanced variation of the French a lot, and this time I could defeat him. So e4, e6, d4, d5, e5, c5, c3, knight to c6, knight to f3, queen b6, bishop d3, and this is the exact same position which happened in the previous tournament. I had continued with bishop d7. He had castled and I played c4, which is a bit pretty bad move because you don't want to close the center in the French. You have to keep the tension. So that's what happened and I lost, but this time I had prepared this variation, bishop d3, and he sets up a trap. If I take, he takes, I take, then bishop b5 wins my queen. So obviously I knew that because I'm a pretty experienced player of the French. Bishop d3, but the theory goes like this: c captures, and bishop d7, and now you are free to take the pawn. So this is what happened in the game. I played bishop d7, he castled, and now I had watched Anish Giri's course on the French defense, and he showed a pretty similar game like this, where he took, takes, and did the exact same things which Anish did. So I took, he takes, I take, and here the theory is queen e2 in this variation. You are preparing b5, so if you be careless and play something like bishop b4, bishop b5 is pretty bad for you because, to show an example, takes, I will have to move my king, my castling is destroyed, and he'll develop with tempo. Bishop e3, queen to h5, and he'll get a lot of attack. So yeah, queen e2 is the theory and a6 is the theory in this variation. You have to stop bishop b5. So he plays knight c3. I play bishop b4, developing that bishop. He plays bishop to e3. I could take this pawn, but I decided against it because then I didn't want to take any chances with tricks like that or something. So now I'm threatening to play that, so he'll have to move. So instead of taking the risk and going into complications, I played queen to h4. And this is what Anish Giri did. g3, queen back to d8, queen to g4, now eyeing that g7 square. I could defend it with g6, but that would just ruin my pawn structure around the king and I won't be able to castle because now things like that, if I develop my knight, bishop h6 is coming, no castling for me. So here I played bishop into c3, thinking that if he captures there, I have this bishop captures on e5, and I'll still be up a pawn, and I'll get development with tempo. And here, if he captures there, I have a trick here. I can play knight to e7. If he captures, I can play that. He goes there, I can play queen to c7. I gave back the pawn and now I'm ready to castle queenside, and I have an open h and g file for my rooks to attack his king. But he played queen captures on g7, I played bishop captures on e5. Now you cannot capture that because that is there. So he captures my bishop, which is the only good move if he doesn't want to be down a piece. I played queen to f6. Now if he trades queens and, for example, bishop to d4, I have king to e7 defending my knight, and I'm up a pawn and will be happy to play this. So he declined at queen to f6. He played queen to c7. I played bishop to c6, guarding that b7 pawn there. He plays rook to c1, and here I thought for like 10 to 15 minutes. Next move, as you can see, I I thought I was thinking about queen to f3 because then that would just win the exchange. For example, if I go queen to f3, he plays some slow looking moves, for example, rook a to d1 developing. Then I have this, and he would be forced to give the exchange here, like so, like that, and he would be forced to give the exchange. So he plays rook a to c1, but I calculated something else. If I play queen f3 now, he can take, I take, king to f8, bishop to c5 with check. And here I was calculating king g7, but I didn't like that. My king is out in the open. He can develop his rook that way after getting his bishop there. So I have to play 97 here, and here he can play that, not that, he can play that. And now my rook is under attack, my knight is under attack. Only good move is to play rook e8. Then he would capture there. I'll get out of the, I can't do anything here. I have to get back my queen, but now he has that, attacking my rook. So this is pretty bad for me. So I figured this out at rook a c1 that queen f3 was bad in this position. So I played knight to e7, and now you have to stop queen to f3 because this does not work anymore, because I can just take with the knight, and this, and I would be winning here because I'm also up a pawn. He stops that with f4. I castle to safety. Here I also thought for like 5 to 10 minutes, calculating all the side effects. If bishop c5, then I have rook f to e8, defending the knight and also unpinning. That is what he did. He played bishop to c5, I played rook f to e8. He goes back with the queen to b6. He has to guard that b2 pawn as it is hanging. I play knight to f5. Here he plays g4. And I played knight back to e7 that way, but there's a very interesting idea here. I found it while analyzing my game on the chessboard, and that's actually d5, d4, I mean. Here the idea is if you capture, then as you can see, I've opened my diagonal for this bishop. So queen to e7 check, king has to go there, queen to g2 with check, king has to go to e1, e captures on f5 with check, king has to go there, and here I have some pretty things like this. King can't go anywhere, you'll have to give the exchange back. King goes there, and I can keep checking. For example, takes with check, and it's a pretty good position for me. So g4, I had to play d4, and this would be winning for me. And here let's see what the engine says. Saying it's saying rook to c2. You have to guard that square there. So after a few moves like that, I played knight back to e7, queen g7, bishop to d4, queen to f8, knight to d6, h4, e5 is the best move here. You have to open the center when there's an attack. Bishop into g6, big blunder, big blunder. Now the pawn is pinned, you can't take that rook there. Can take, so he has to go back d4 now, attacking the rook, creating two passed pawns. Rook moves, takes, queen to b3 with check. I have to be careful not to go to f8 because then he can check me again. I play queen g7. He plays queen back to d1. I play rook f8. Plays rook to c2, defending that bishop. I play bishop to f3. Rook c7 check. King to h8. Queen f1. I play that. He plays that, and I play bishop to e2. Now winning that rook. He plays that, and I just take the rook with check. Now he has to take that, and I'm up a whole rook and two pawns. So he resigned at queen into g3, and that's the fifth round. I have 4 points out of 5, and I'm the 17th out of 120 players. So today evening is my fifth round, sixth round I mean, and I'm hoping to win it as I won't be able to play the seventh round on Wednesday. So I'm hoping to win today. So that's it for today, guys. I'm hoping to see you in the next video, and I'll keep you updated on these rounds. Thank you, everyone, and